We are watching RT broadcasting around the clock with the news from Russia and the world from our central Moscow studios, where it's now 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. Your top story. We're going to recap now on the latest of the South Ossetian conflict. Russia's Prime Minister Vladimir Putin says Georgia is leading a war against the rules and dubbed Tbilisi's actions against South Ossetia as genocide. President Dmitry Medvedev claims those guilty of crimes against South Ossetians should bear responsibility and even face charges. The death toll in the unrecognised republic has now reached at least 2,000. It's reported 12 Russian peacekeepers have also been killed and 150 wounded in Georgian attacks. A Russian army general was seriously wounded after his military unit came under fire in the region. According to South Ossetian authorities, a Georgian bomber has been downed and 12 tanks destroyed as a result of fierce fighting in the capital Tsinvali. The chief of Russian ground forces claims Georgia's military action in Tsinvali has resulted in the destruction of all hospitals and many children have been killed. More than 30,000 refugees have arrived in Russia's southern regions as people try to flee the conflict zone. Meanwhile, thousands of people still remain in the demolished city of Tsinvali. Amid continuing shelling, people are sheltering in bunkers but are said to be running out of food and there's no water or electricity. Russia's Emergencies Ministry has delivered the first consignment of medication to the South Ossetian capital. Humanitarian aid and power generators are also expected to be delivered soon. And medical support keeps arriving in Russia's Republic of North Ossetia, where the majority of refugees are being taken to from the conflict zone. A mobile hospital has been set up in the main city of Vladikavkaz, and for more we're joined by our correspondent Medina Kuchneva. Hi there, Medina. Now, thank you very much for joining us. Can you give us the details on the situation right now with the refugees?
Well, the situation here in Vladikavkaz is not getting better. Currently, the number of refugees has topped more than 34,000 civilians. And here I'm talking about people that are coming from South Ossetia. They're trying to escape from the region, coming to different regions of southern Russia, especially to the region of North Ossetia. We also have information that hospitals that are based in Alagir, which is the closest city to the border between South and North Ossetia, are full with injured people, with injured refugees. Some of these refugees are trying to get to Vladikavkaz, to get to the hospitals of Vladikavkaz, and they're trying to get some medical help here. However, we also know that there is not only injured people coming over here, but also military peacekeepers as well as journalists. Many journalists are trying to leave Tsinvali right now because the situation over there has become really dangerous. Many of journalists have come to Vladikavkaz today and they managed to escape Tsinvali, but some of them got under fire, and right now we will listen to some of the stories from our colleagues.
Me and my cameraman, we were together with the Russian military units, which were heading to support peacekeepers. We joined them to film their mission, but we came under heavy fire. Even when I was wounded, I didn't switch off the camera. It was really scary, but that's our job.
We also managed to speak to one of the residents from Tsinvali. His native city is Tsinvali. He is a young guy, aged 22. He told us that his family, that he lost his family during this crisis, during this war, and right now he's trying to help the other people that are blocked right now in the bunkers and the basements in Tsinvali. He's trying to go there, and he's taking these people from South Ossetia, bringing them here to North Ossetia so they can get some medical treatment. He refused to show his face, but he didn't refuse to tell his story.
There are many whole families remaining in Tsinvali. It's impossible to count them. Children, women, old people. Today we managed to take only 2 people from Tsinvali. We brought them here to Vladikavkaz, while tomorrow we will again return to the South Ossetian capital.
Earlier, as you mentioned, several airplanes under the Russian Emergency Ministry have arrived to Vladikavkaz, and they brought a lot of medical aid, a lot of humanitarian aid, as well as drugs, food and other equipment to help doctors and to help refugees and other injured people here. Also settlements, also some medical hospitals are being created here, and the number of these medical hospitals will only increase in the coming week. My colleague Leah Ferguson visited some settlements of refugees here. She talked to some women, and this is her report.
A temporary bedsit provides shelter from the war back home. South Ossetian evacuee Fatima here with her 2 small children.
The Georgians were bombing up heavily through the night, so we fled because we were afraid of dying. We came to Vladikavkaz by bus along the mountain road because the main road was under fire.
She's safe for now on Russian territory, but her loved ones remain inside the conflict zone.
It's so hard to be here knowing that my husband is still in South Ossetia. Every day I'm afraid I'll hear news that he's dead. My heart is weak.
Almost 40 children are being cared for inside this school, most of them alone without their parents. The wait for news from back home is agony for these children. They haven't heard from their parents who are still in the conflict zone. They don't know whether their families are still alive. All they can do is watch the television news and wait. With power lines destroyed in South Ossetian villages, there's no way they can contact their families, and the stream of official information is slow. These evacuees say they're holding out hope that Russia will bring the war to an end. News that Russian forces are taking action is met with relief.
Our military forces have reached the conflict zone, and we are undertaking an operation to restore peace. We're pushing the Georgian army out of the peacekeeping zone, but we will continue to evacuate hundreds of civilians.
Locals in Vladikavkaz continue to provide much-needed care for their ethnic brothers and sisters, bringing clothes and food to the evacuees.
Hi kids, this is for you.
These children say they're grateful for the support.
Here are the things. I don't know what will happen next, but we're being looked after here. We're giving sweets, clothes, food, shelter. They're helping us.
With no clear end to the war in sight, these refugee children are desperate for some semblance of normality, occupying their time in the way only children can. Leah Ferguson, RT, Vladikavkaz in North Ossetia.
Also, there is information that young men continue to come and volunteer to go and join the war. There are special offices open in the city of Vladikavkaz that are working 24 hours. They are even open right now in the middle of the night. These offices are created especially for people that want to go and volunteer to go and join the war across the border. And there are a lot of people that want to do this. They're coming not only from North Ossetia, but from the other neighboring regions in the south of Russia. Back to you, Anne.
Irina Kochanova in Vladikavkaz, thank you very much for joining us in that update. Well, shortly after his trip to Vladikavkaz, Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin met with Russian President Dmitry Medvedev and shared his thoughts on the crisis in South Ossetia.
First and foremost, I want to share my impressions after meeting with the refugees. They're mostly women, children and the elderly. Of course, they faced a dramatic tragedy. But what they told me is beyond any war rules. I believe there were elements of genocide. I think our Prosecutor General's office should take note of all incidents, since most of the South Ossetian population are Russians. These are crimes against the civilian population. We've deployed a hospital admitting patients and carrying out operations. The second one can be deployed very soon. I'm very concerned with the conditions of the people in South Ossetia and in Tsinvali in particular. Several hours ago we contacted people there. They've been staying in their basements for several days now without water. There is no